I'm immature, so like almost getting to see some boobies? Okay, that's sick.
What's up, painters? Space Case here. A few months ago, I did my first ever little art book review. It was on Craig Gleason's Bad Guys Club book. It was like just a really fun thing to go through and like look at art and kind of just get my reaction to it. I really enjoyed making that video, and I had mentioned in the video that I wanted to do more art books. So for Christmas, my family got me the skateboard art of Jim Phillips, and today I'm just going to be going through and kind of talking about Jim, talking about his art, and all the really cool stuff that he's done over the years. If you aren't familiar, Jim Phillips is the one who does a lot of the art direction for like Santa Cruz skateboards. A lot of the famous imagery that is associated with them, Jim Phillips is behind. My first introduction to Jim was Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. He did a lot of like the illustration for that game. I remember at the time when I was young, I like saw that game and I was playing it, and when I saw like the art pop up, I was like, holy shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, where has this been all my life? Then like years and years later, I found out it was Jim Phillips that was behind all that art. His stuff is incredible. It's pretty much what I dream of like one day being capable of, with like how recognizable his imagery is. I've already like kind of flipped through this and pre-marked some pages because honestly it's huge. For me to like actually review this book, the video would have to be like probably 4 hours. Some of the most recognizable imagery in skateboarding, Jim Phillips is behind. And if anyone didn't know, I've been skateboarding for now probably, it's 2020, I think I'm going on 12 years of skateboarding. Yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty excited to like look through this and kind of share my thoughts on the skateboard art of Jim Phillips. So I'll put this bad boy down, get a drink, start flipping through, show you guys just the absolute insanity that is Jim Phillips. Look at this cover. Just immediately, like giant skateboarder bursting through a city, like all this crazy amount of detail just like tucked away, and it's incredible. I'm so excited to flip through this and share this stuff with you guys, and I think it could be like really inspiring for a lot of people to go check out Jim Phillips stuff. He's on a different tier. Yeah, let's crack this bad boy open and see what it has to offer. All right, skateboard art of Jim Phillips. A Schiffer book. Opening it right up, I'm just going to read you a little bit about Jim Phillips, give you a little better description that they give here. So Jim Phillips was a graphic artist best known for his rock poster, surf, and skateboard art. Jim began freelance art service specializing in various forms of graphic art from motorcycles to health. From the mid-70s to late 80s, he was art director for Santa Cruz Skateboards, where he created hundreds of skateboard decks, t-shirts, stickers, and ad art design. So as I said, Jim Phillips did a lot of like the famous Santa Cruz imagery. I've noticed lately that like a lot of non-skateboarders are wearing Santa Cruz stuff. I mean, I have to imagine that if you're wearing like a skate thing and you don't skateboard, it's because of the art on it. So that kind of goes to show you how powerful Jim Phillips imagery is. Transcends skateboarding and makes people that don't even skateboard want to wear skate brands. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I can talk a lot. So I bookmarked like, I think like 15 pages. I'll probably talk for like a minute about each one, so I don't want this video to drag on forever. So we're just going to be flipping through to my bookmark pages, pages that meant stuff to me, pages I knew I could talk about a lot. So the first couple pages are just like, kind of like a biography of Jim's life, kind of just tracking his journey into skateboarding. That brings us to our first bookmark. And that was his first graphic that he ever did for a skate company, for Road Rider Wheels. Got this girl doing like a slalom on a cruiser board. And this was actually Jim's first project for NHS, and NHS is the company that runs like Santa Cruz, OJ Wheels, Independent Trucks, Creature, a couple other brands. One of the best skate distributions in my opinion. Aside from his talent as an illustrator, one of like the really awesome things that I love about Jim Phillips is his ability to take like a normal ad picture and make it this like work of art in itself. Like, this is incredible, and it's showing you this wheel that he's trying to sell. Literally looking at this makes me go like, man, I should probably check these wheels out. I don't know, I don't think they even make these anymore. That kind of shows you the power of like true illustration. Like, yeah, you can make amazing things, but he was also a fantastic ad designer too. This video is just me like sucking Jim Phillips. This page covers the birth of his son, Jimbo Phillips. So I've been following Jimbo Phillips on Instagram for like over a year, thinking that it was Jim Phillips the whole time, and it's actually his son. Pretty crazy. His son was an artist too though, so I was kind of duped, but I wasn't duped that hard. So we're just flipping through. It's kind of like showing a lot of Santa Cruz stickers that he was doing in the early days. And this brings us to something that I didn't know at all. I thought this was insane. Jim Phillips designed the independent truck logo. It just goes to show that like you can be the most talented illustrator with like crazy monster art, but then you can do some simple logo work and make one of like the most powerful logos in skateboarding. Easily one of the most recognizable logos next to like Spitfire wheels. It's so sick. I gotta take the flannel off, I'm getting hot. I'm getting all like, excited to talk about this stuff. You're like gonna see true skate nerd right now. I just realized that I am a complete jack and my mic was clipped to my flannel. And I took the flannel off because I was too excited, and yeah, I'm so happy to talking about this book. And now I don't know how the sound quality is going to be, so I'm just going to apologize in advance if it's shitty. Sorry about you. One of the main reasons I bookmarked this page, aside from the fact that like I think it's crazy that he designed Independent Trucks logo. I've thought about getting an Independent tattoo before. And I'm always like, well, like the Independent Trucks logo looks kind of close to an iron cross, which was used by like white power people. Super against that. I want no association with that kind of stuff. So I've always just been kind of weird about like, I don't necessarily want to wear like an independent shirt because I don't want people to think that I'm like repping some like crazy thing that I would never ever be a part of. And they included this. Jim had submitted this logo before and I think they denied it. They put in this little excerpt of how they were able to finally get it through. It's a Time magazine cover of the Pope wearing an iron cross, and he said, I was amazed. There was this cross on vestments, almost the way I designed mine. I marched into the office the next morning with the magazine to show that I thought the proof was acceptable. They both looked at each other and said, well, if the Pope has it, it must be okay. That was that, and the Independent Cross was born. I think it was interesting that even in the design process, people were kind of afraid, like, I don't know, dude, like this might be a little too close to like some crazy stuff that we don't want to get involved in. The idea that like, okay, you can look around and like, hate groups can like try to take over a symbol, but when it comes down to it, like the cross means so much more than this hate group. So I think it's pretty cool that they were able to take that. Still don't know if I'm going to be just like wearing independent shirts everywhere, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting because it's always been a thought of mine in the back of my head of like, yeah, I don't know about that logo. So the fact that they also had questions in designing it is pretty interesting, for me at least. And I think it's pretty sick that they were able to take this thing that they were kind of afraid to use at first and turn it into pretty much the most powerful logo in skateboarding. So as we're flipping through, we're just kind of seeing some of Jim's like art design for the trucks. This one was really cool. I loved like just the deconstruction design of the truck. Like he's not always just doing monsters, and I think that's pretty cool. Like he's capable of doing like regular stuff, but still having it be in his style and still having it be an effective ad layout. I think that's really cool. Something I strive to achieve at some point. Obviously the Santa Cruz logo. So crazy to me that he did all of these logos. And I think this will be kind of like a positive message for like people who may follow me that like, yeah, you don't have to do the most like crazy detailed pieces. Like you could literally be somebody that just loves like doing calligraphy art. You could design an insane font like the Santa Cruz font and have it be super recognizable and famous one day. Whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your abilities, and who knows what could come out of it. You could have an art book one day. Alright, this one. I freaking love skateboard art. God. So this is a 4-board series that they did for Rob Roscop back in the day. I'm not gonna lie. I started skateboarding in 2008. I don't know much about skateboarding in the 80s, but I can say that like graphics back then were incredible, and graphics now in skateboarding, they're lacking. So this 4-part series, it starts off with a hand kind of pointing down to Rob Roscop's name. The next one in the series is like a full arm, a hand peeking out, and a foot, and it's kind of breaking through that target. The next one, 2 full arms, a foot, and some more stuff breaking through the board. And then each time, like the hand is pulling more and more of Rob's name away. And then on this last one, the monster is like pretty much fully broken out and has like almost fully ripped Rob's name away. And I think that's so sick. Like they really put time into that series and like made it this 4-part thing. I think the closest thing I've seen these days to this is like Neckface right now is currently doing like a board series for Baker. And he did Cater's first board, which was like a fingerboarder going down a rail. And then he recently did another one where it's like that same fingerboarder, but it's like zoomed out, and it's the little demon thing showing its mom like, look, I'm fingerboarding. Like, it's sick. I like how they're zooming out, and I hope they keep that series going. I feel like that could be a board series that you look at in like another 30 years and you're like, oh damn, like that one was iconic. Obviously, monsters. I eat this kind of
up. It's my favorite thing to draw, and I love looking at monster art like this. Stuff is for me. I love it. This is how I found the stuff I was into, was like by discovering Jim Phillips' work. I feel like I'm just super mushmouth right now because I'm so excited to be talking about all this. Absolutely another iconic Rob Roscott board. This like melting face. I remember hating this graphic when I was younger. I used to see this and just be like, that thing's weird looking. I'm not a fan. And then like the more and more I looked at it as I got older, I was like, you're tripping. Like, this is sick. When I was younger, I was boring, I guess. This is another like full page view of that monster. So sick. His nose kind of looks like a penis though. Whoop, whoop. Santa Cruz slasher graphic is so sick, and that's like, again, just like a super iconic Jim Phillips design that like, you see that and you just immediately think like Santa Cruz. And I think that's so dope. It's like what I want to do with Space Case. Like, yeah, I love my little alien logo, but I would like to just start using like more imagery that like, you just look at a thing and you're like, that's Space Case. And like Santa Cruz has like, probably like 10 things that you would look at and just be like, oh, Santa Cruz. So they have like 10 different logos almost. I would love to do that with my art. Like, just have things that when people see it, they're like, Santa Cruz. Like, just flip the page. As soon as you see the screaming hand, you immediately just think like, oh, Santa Cruz. I just knocked my art down. So that's unfortunate, but whatever. Sorry, buddy. Santa Cruz still uses this on like their shirts every time they put anything out. Just like different little stylized versions of it. And I think that's so awesome to have like this base logo that you can just kind of work off of. And yeah, God, like, I hope that he has at least 10 million in his bank account from all this art that he's done. He has just made the most iconic logos in skateboarding, and it's insane. Like, I cannot imagine so many years later, like, that's the insane thing. Like, his art has lasted decades. Just going on to like more crazy logos that he's done. The Slimeball wheels logo. I skate in Ocean City Skate Park a lot, and a lot of the kids out there super into Slimeballs. And one of my favorite artists, actually, in the lowbrow community, recently did a collab with Slimeballs. So that had to have been cool. I imagine they were like probably pretty inspired by Jim Phillips too. So then to eventually have the chance to like design a wheel for a company that he designed the logo for, that's got to be like a really awesome feeling. The kids at the skate park have been like, you should try to do art for Slimeball wheels. And like, we're not there yet, kids. Give it time. Oh my God, I could talk forever about this stuff. This is so sick. Now we're getting to like some of the pro boards that he's designed, and he's done so many iconic ones that I can't like talk about all of them because they're all super good. But I wanted to talk about this because I know they recently like reissued this with, I think, somebody else designing it, but like they took that Jim Phillips style. From far away, you just see a giant skull. But if you get up close, all of these are different pieces of like a skeleton, or there's like faces in there, and that's so freaking crazy to me. Like, the amount of detail and the amount of time that had to take is obscene. That's so amazing to me. I love that so much. Just fully nerding out. This Jeff Grosso board, if I was gonna set up an old school board, I'd probably get this one. It's so good. Another Jeff Grosso board. Jeff Grosso got the coolest freaking boards from Jim Phillips. That's so cool. More just like super iconic imagery. Jason Jesse boards. Okay, here we go. That's exactly where I wanted to be. These Steve Alba boards are so cool. I am gonna get one of these for the wall. And I've actually been thinking about getting this little tattoo of this page right here. First off, about this ad. I don't know why, but the fact that it says, I'm your witch doctor, and then it has this little guy down here, I think this is the coolest ad. Like, this is one of the coolest ads I've ever seen. I don't know if it's because I have a thing for witches. I just love this. And then this imagery of the girl in the boiling pot, the snake wrapped around her. She's borderline nudie, which, like, I'm immature, so, like, almost getting to see some boobies. Okay, that's sick. There's eyes in the background, which I've already covered how much I love eyes. This board is just so sick to me, and I just love it so much. I actually have a tattoo already of, like, an island beach scene, and I think that this would fit in really well with it, so who knows? In the future, I might be getting some Jim Phillips art tattoos. Corey O'Brien Reaper board, so sick. This one's really cool. It's like a skate rat skating inside of the tongue of a cat. That's a really cool design, actually. I'd missed that. A lot of this is just so crazy. Like, there's just so much going on in so many of these boards, and that's so amazing to me. All these Christian Hosoi boards, and then this Hosoi, like, rocket air that he's doing. So cool. This is just a random little cool thing. Throwing up. He's got his brain popping out of his body. His eyes are popping out. He's got these skull earrings. He kind of looks like an e-boy that you would find on TikTok today. More Rob Roscott boards with this kind of, like, crazy monster imagery. I love it. The brain melting. Again, I'm super immature, so anything with, like, an almost naked lady, I love it. I just like boobies. I don't know what to say. Looking through this book has been really cool, though, because I'm about to start screen printing my own shirts, and just, like, seeing all the this ad design and all these little things where like he could do this super detailed board and then have like one piece of it that just becomes a sticker. So it's just like making me think like, oh, I could do these like detailed back pieces on a shirt and then take one part of it and just do like a little circular like pocket logo detail on the front. Phillips Studios. I'm not gonna lie, when I like first flipped through this book, this immediately made me think like, I gotta go get a new job. Like I have to go get a job that isn't art because I need to have money so I can buy my own studio, and like when I'm not working, constantly be in like a bigger studio space than I am now and like have all this space to like work on stuff. And this just seems like such a small regular building, and I just love the idea of like having an art studio where like I can start bringing other people in to help me with projects. It'd be so sick. Like give some of my other art friends a spot to work. This is his son Jimbo working in the art studio. All of this art all over. Oh, it's so sick. All their like, there's like a skate video down here, all these stickers everywhere. There's a t-shirt design up there. God, it's, oh, it makes me nerd out so hard. And there's like Jim helping like these other two artists design stuff. Like it's just so sick. Like the idea of having a studio is so amazing to me, and it's like something I haven't really like shared with the world yet, but like I really like, this is my goal, is to like be able to have like a studio / gallery space and like bring in my friends that do art and like have all of us work towards a collective thing. Like my little sister's 10 and she's super into art, and the idea of like, man, like maybe if I work hard enough, maybe like in 8 years when she's done high school and stuff, I could hire her to come work at like Space Case Studios or something, and she could be doing design work for me in the future because that's what she wants to do. She wants to like do animation work and illustration, and the idea that like Jim Phillips worked hard enough that he could then supply these two with a job is the coolest concept to me. Like the idea that your own hard work could create opportunities for other people to then have their own hard work. Like it's just, that's always been my goal with like everything I've pursued, is to like be able to bring people with me and like take care of other people too. I think that's just the coolest idea. There's a picture of everybody at Phillips Studios. Dang, sticker game. Good God, so many stickers. This was their studio refrigerator. That's so crazy. There's so many stickers. Phillips Studio B. Are you serious? What, did they have like another studio? At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that like Tony Hawk's American Wasteland was like the stuff that got me into Jim Phillips, and this is kind of like an example of how some of that art in that video game was. It was like kind of like all of their cutscenes would be like this like comic illustration that like they kind of moved, and that is actually inspiring future video series that I'm going to be doing, where I tell some like crazy stories from my life, and I have little like moving comic panels that are going to go along with it. All of that comes from Jim Phillips inspiration. So if anybody sees those videos and like, you're just copying Jim, like, I'm not copying, but I was definitely inspired by him. This I just marked because I thought it was cool. It's tips for new skateboard owners. Everybody, even if you're not like trying to like jump down like a bunch of stairs or like grind rails and stuff, just go buy a skateboard. The idea of just like pushing down the street is the most freeing, fun feeling ever. I highly recommend everybody goes and buys a skateboard, but we recently bought my girlfriend's little brother a skateboard. He's like 6 years old, so I marked it to show him because it's tips for new skateboard owners. So it just talks about like not leaving your skateboard outside so it gets stolen, or like waterlogged or stuff like that. And he's also super into art, so like who knows, maybe one day he'll work for me too. At Space Case Studios, hired the whole damn extended family. More like Santa Cruz ad designs that he's done. I'm just really looking forward to like releasing more clothing this year, being able to actually do like ad layouts and stuff for that. It's gonna be so fun. I'm really looking forward to it, and just like letting my imagination run wild with all my products this year. You know, people ask like, how do you make sales and like do all this stuff? You know, I don't just post my art. Like I take time, I make like an ad, I'll put something together for it. You can't just post a picture and like hope that someone's gonna buy it. Like take some time, put some effort into it, and I can't say every time, but a lot of the time your extra effort will go rewarded. I'd say there's an obvious longevity to all this, and I hope that at some point like I can have my own taste of this. The last little bit is kind of just more versions of like his Screaming Hand. Not really going to go into that because actually, you know what, I will. So this was for a brand called Pocket Pistols, and they did a lot of like the Screaming Hand stuff too. But like when I look at this, I don't see Pocket Pistols. I just immediately see like, oh, that's Santa Cruz. And that's one thing I will say, when like as an artist, if you're designing something for another brand, like yeah, it could be your style and people could recognize, oh, that's that, but like when it's associated with a certain brand for so long, like that also becomes you. So I would keep that in mind, artists out there. If you're designing for someone and you think like, it's my art that's famous, it's not the company, like at some point your art becomes that company. I look at this and I just see like, oh, that's Santa Cruz, but it's not. It's another brand that Jim Phillips was designing for. And actually, now I'm going to keep nerding out on skateboarding. There's another artist, Boss, and he does all the stuff for Heroin skateboards. And anytime he does like guest designs for other brands, when I see those boards, I'm like, oh, look at that Heroin board. And then I realize, no, that's just Mark Foster's art. I just associate his style with that brand. It's something to keep in mind. Like, if you're doing brand design for other people, know that like you're gonna become associated with them forever, pretty much. I don't know if anyone's made it this far. I don't know how many people care about skateboarding on my channel, but if you did make it, thank you. I'm looking at the cover right here, and this truck says wide load. So if you did make it this far, go to the comments and comment wide load, and I'll know who's like really watching my videos and really paying attention. Yeah, thank you guys for watching today's video. Thanks for letting me nerd out on some skateboarding for a bit. Clothing coming soon. I have screen printing stuff on the way, actually. So I'm gonna start working on some designs. Got a lot of awesome stuff planned. So I had mentioned that I was inspired by the whole Phillips studio thing. So I've been renovating space in my studio to start like filming other YouTube videos in, and I'm halfway done that mural that's in that room. Yeah, it was kind of inspired by this book. It finally made me get off my start painting this mural and really work on like the whole studio space I have here. If you did watch this, you enjoyed it, and you're interested in getting this book, I'll put the link to buy it below. I don't have any affiliation with them, but yeah, I don't know. I want people to be able to look at cool art. So I'll put that in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Check out my shop. Thanks for watching, painters. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for letting me nerd out on some skateboarding, and I will see you later this week for another epic Space Case video. Peace.